Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Nathaniel Seal, and on the channel, I will be discussing Texas Longhorn football, Colorado Buffalo, LSU Tigers, and the Michigan Wolverines, the defending national championship for the 2024 season. Those are my four teams that I look at and I hang my hat on. Uh, I follow, of course, I follow all over the sport. However, those are the four teams that in my close peripheral, I look at. Um, on this channel, we will be talking about high school games, mainly in the state of Texas. We will be talking about high school recruitment, going to college, and we'll be talking about NFL draft. There's guys that I've mentioned, like for example, Colin Simmons will be one of them. Colin Simmons is a guy that committed to Texas. He literally committed to the University of Texas and took no other visits. All he wanted to do was go be a Texas Longhorn. So as he gets into the NFL, we will be following his career, where he ends up getting drafted, where he ends up uh, winning Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, uh, those type of things we'll be definitely paying attention to. But without further ado, like I said, today I will be talking about Texas. I will probably be dropping a video about the LSU Tigers either later today, Michigan Wolverines later today or tomorrow. Colorado Buffaloes either later today or tomorrow night at the latest. Eventually, I do see me merging all of them, but this is just the initial episode of me covering the team and breaking it down going into spring training. So on the docket today, we're going to be talking about different position groups, how they stack up, how I feel about them, whether they're weak, whether they're strong, different names, key names that we should know. And I will also be talking about over-under win totals and going over the schedule for this upcoming year. So, last year, last year, Texas went 12-2. Good enough for a first round dance with the Washington Huskies, where they lost in tragic fashion, just like they lost in tragic fashion to my wife's Oklahoma Sooners. Very upset about that. But we will push on because I really believe that defense this next year is going to be way more better than it was last year. Texas this year over under win total is 10.5. So they're looking at 10 wins. Could be a perfect season. In all honesty, it just really depends on 2 games, in my opinion, 2 to 3 games. And I'll cover that later on. Texas is returning 6 starters on their offense, returning 7 on defense, which those are pretty good numbers. Those are not nothing to scoff at. You are returning your starting quarterback. You are returning one of 2 of your starting running backs, which is C.J. Baxter, who was the first freshman to start since Ricky Williams in 1995. That's nothing to scoff at. He is a really good back. He went for 659 yards last year, if I'm not mistaken. Really good back, especially as a freshman. Really, really good back. Really physical. This year he will be accompanied by Jaden Blue, which he is a speedster. You get him out in space and he will make you miss. My concern with him is definitely ball carrying. I'm worried about it. I hope he has glue. But the kid is electric in the open field. If you watch the game against Texas Tech, you will see it. In the transfer portal, they were able to pick up 8 great pieces. And just to name a few, you have wide receiver Isaiah Bond, edge rusher Trey Moore. You had Arizona defensive lineman, defensive tackle, Savea. You had Marcus Golden come over from Houston. You have Amari Neeblack, the tight end from Alabama. You also had another Alabama transfer linebacker who was a number one linebacker in his class, Kendrick Blackshire. He's coming back home after spending a little bit of time out of Alabama. And he was not backing up no average Joes. He was actually backing up guys that have been going in the first and second round in NFL draft. So I'm excited to see that. We're gonna get into that here shortly. Key recruits, you got Colin Simmons, 5-star, Duncanville. He has everybody. He had everybody in the country want him. Like I said at the top of the show, he took one visit to Texas, committed to Texas, and went nowhere else. That's loyalty, and that's what that is. That old school feel that you get whenever whenever I listen to him talk, whenever I watch him commit, when I watch him commit to Texas on 3 Sports, or I think it might have been Inside Texas Football. Actually, is where I watched them commit at. They do great shows all year round, pretty much every day. I'm always listening to them, watching them. Love the guys over there. They're inspirational to me, as well as RJ Young. So Ty Anthony Smith, linebacker. They say he's a 4-star. Really should have been 5-star. He's a really good athlete. Kobe Black, Waco Colony. I'm very familiar with that town, with that territory. Being from Gatesville, Texas, McGregor, Texas, Waco, Texas in general. That we played them all the time, and they always have athletes come out there. And this has to be one of the best athletes in my lifetime, that have come out of Connolly, respectively. 5-star offensive tackle Brandon Baker, Mater Dei, California. Big time get. He figures to try to challenge for that right tackle spot that Cameron Williams is leaving to go to the NFL on, and I think he's probably a day 2 pick. That's nothing to scoff at either. But he is the number 1 tackle in this class coming up. So I think that he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be a impact player on the offensive line, that is stout. Let's just call it what it is. They're stout. They don't give up too much hurries. They don't give up sacks really. You have to go through them. You really have to out scheme them in order for them to give a sack up. Sorry, stuffing. You picked up 2 of the best running backs this past cycle. 4-star running backs, Jerry Gibson and Christian Clark. Love them. Physical, fast, can make you miss out in space, do it all. Kind of remind me a little bit of Bijan Robinson. Maybe they need a little polish, but very good backs. You have 5-star safety who flipped from Florida, Xavier Fields made. Man, the guy's good. I got to watch him last year when he played against Longview, and I'll tell you about that story later on. You have some people report him as 4-star, some people report him as 5-star, but Ryan Ringo, one of the best wide receivers in the state of Missouri, coming back home. He's originally from the state of Texas, came back home. A lot of people thought that he might be tempted to play for Missouri since his family's out there, but he ultimately decided to come back home, play for the University of Texas. Big get for them. Big get for them. Like I said, these guys will be out there on April 20th. I will be out there. I've already made my mind up that I'm going. I'm coming all the way from Oklahoma to be out there to watch my Longhorns. And also, I'll be later on in the week, I will be dropping my schedule of where I will be going this year, and I will be naming my tour, so everybody can know if you're interested in, oh, what games am I paying attention to of the four teams. You'll be able to know where I'll be at. Remember, this year, 2024, everybody gets 2 bye weeks. It's the start of the 12-team playoff. Texas made the last 4-team playoff, which is huge for them. But this year seems to be more of a knock for um, 4 teams like Texas. Love Texas. Texas's outlook. Love the team that Steve Sarkisian has put together. And love the way that they've progressed and developmented players. I know a lot of players, especially in my time growing up, especially as a senior. Johnny Manziel was the reason why we're number 2. But that's because Texas A&M was it at the time, and now Texas is the it program, and and if Texas can keep it rolling, then it'll be great. I do hope that Texas A&M does get back to where they are really really good. So at the end of the year, you have something that, excuse me, that we can look forward to, not a big brother beating a little brother every year. Something like what it used to be when Colt McCoy played. Something like whenever Vince Young played or Chris Sims. I didn't get to see those games, but my dad's told me about those games, and they were really good games. Man, I hope that Mike Elko down there can figure it out down there. Anyway, we'll talk about that game later on because we're going to be going to a schedule, right? So, start off the schedule segment on August 31st. We kick off the season playing Colorado State. Then you go to Michigan the day before my birthday, 9/7. Play them in Ann Arbor. Then you play UTSA at home on the 14th of September. And then week 4, you play Louisiana Monroe. Week 5, you play Mississippi State, which is your initial welcome into the SEC, which you can't get better than that. That is old school SEC matchup. I remember watching on the big screen. My dad used to have a watch. What was that movie? It was The Program. And I remember they imitated Mississippi State. And it was Florida State versus Mississippi State, but just the old school Deep South rivalry. Mississippi State is that team that I think about. After Mississippi State, you get your first bye, and then Red River Rivalry weekend. Texas State Fair starts on the 20th, I think, of September. And then you got Red River Rivalry in Dallas against the Sooners. We'll talk about them. We'll talk about them in a little bit. After that, a week later, you have Georgia. Then you play Vandy in Vandy. So you gotta go to Nashville to play Vanderbilt. And then you play the number one overall recruit, number 1 quarterback from the state of Texas, and DJ Lagway in the Florida Gators. And if I'm not mistaken, I gotta look to see who the head coach is. I can't remember, but I know that he was a candidate at one point to take over the University of Alabama job. So after 40, you have a bye, and then you play Kentucky. And then after that, you play Texas A&M. That that would be Billy Napier at Florida, the head coach of Florida, which he really is a interesting character because he was running a really successful program before coming to Florida, and he's one of those. Uh, he's one of those really weird, not weird, but good weird coaches like Lane Kiffin. He looks at things differently, you know. Uh, before coaching at Florida, he was at Louisiana, the University of Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, and I remember they were really tough. Them that team was always very athletic, and I feel like he's trying to do the same thing with Florida. I feel like Florida, he's building Florida. He just hasn't had enough time. He hasn't had the recruits come through, and he's been dealing with bad cultural and locker room issues. And I'm not saying that to uh, give a pass to them, but that's definitely something to look at. Um, Going down the schedule, you have to go to the national championships house. You got to go to the big house. You got to go to Ann Arbor. You have to. You got to go through them, not around them. Good, luckily for you. Good thing is Michigan is losing so much. You're losing your entire offensive line. You're starting quarterback. You're starting running back out of that 1-2 punch that was just so dynamic for the past 2-3 years. You're losing it. Losing a quarterback. You have an embarrassment of riches behind him, which to me, they scare me more than J.J. McCarthy. They are all very mobile. J.J. McCarthy was mobile too, but he wasn't the. He didn't. I didn't fear him like I feel. Like I fear Alex Orji, who is a Texas native, by the way. All these Texas natives, man, make you just sit back and think. We just kept everybody all in one state. They went to the flagship program. Be so great. But that is something that Texas has started to emphasize. They're starting to get the key players that are in the state of Texas. You don't go get a kid like Xavier Felizme and after he's been committed to Florida and get him to flip without showing that you can have that flagship. We're going to be really good. We're going to compete for national championships almost on a yearly basis. The next game after that we're gonna find out a lot about this team, is gonna be Oklahoma. Oklahoma is gonna be scary. They have two Denton Geyer 5 stars that are really really good. Not to mention, team was really good. And just a year ago, they beat us. They beat Texas. Almost kicked Texas out of the playoff. Luckily, Texas had some things fall its way, but Texas almost lost to them and almost didn't get to go to the college football playoff. So Jackson Arnold, 5-star quarterback from Denton Ryan, sophomore this year. You look at that Rose Bowl and not Rose Bowl. You look at that Alamo game, and yeah, there was a lot of interceptions, a lot of turnovers. But you know what? I see a team that is trying to figure it out, and Brent Venables and Dylan Gabriel knew this is the future. Dylan Gabriel goes bye bye, goes to Oregon, who has to play Michigan, which I feel like Oregon's gonna be really good this year coming up. So Jackson Arnold show in Oklahoma. We'll see them in Dallas October 12th. I feel like the team's gonna be better. I feel like the team might take a little bit of step forward, but I think they'll be better overall, record wise. Um, After that, you got Georgia. Georgia's still a national player. Georgia, just because they lost to Alabama and did not win the SEC, is not weak by any means. They are still every bit of Georgia that won back to back. I think they won 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. They're still Georgia. You still have to go through Georgia. And on October 19th, when me and my dad go down there, because my dad's birthday's that week after, we want to see Texas beat Georgia at night in DKR. We want it. We want to see it. Now, that's a tall order, tall task. Kirby Smart, one of the best coaches in the league. Look at what he's done. So many first-round picks. Steve Sarkisian just getting started, just starting his getting everything on the right way. Also, the two guys both went through Nick Saban. Now, Steve Sarkisian will tell you Nick Saban and Pete Carroll were two of the most influential guys, his mentors, to date. And that says a lot. Because Texas with Steve Sarkisian can be great coming into his own. They've slowly have been better every year. First year under Steve Sarkisian went 5-7, and then I think they went 8-5 if I'm not mistaken. And then last year they went 12-2. They went. Steve Sarkisian has a combined record of 25-14 right now. Most of this schedule this year is home. They got 7 home games, 1 neutral site game, and 3 away games. Did you know that Texas is 80% under Steve Sarkisian of winning at home? They don't lose very many games at home. And I mean in DKR Stadium. They don't lose very many games at home. So it'll be interesting to see Georgia play Texas. And last year, technically, Texas didn't lose at home. They have not lost at home. When Georgia rolls in town, they probably still would not have lost at home. But that game could kick them out of the playoffs if they go and they lose to Michigan and play Georgia poorly and lose. You are then 2 games down. And we haven't seen a 2-loss team play for the SEC championship, let alone, but the national championship getting in. We have not seen that. We'll see how that works with the new 12-team playoff format, but I'm telling you, I don't think that. I'm not hanging my hat on it. I'd rather it's just win so we can get we can go on those first 4 seeds and have a bye. Texas A&M is the other game. I think I said 3. I actually meant 4. Texas A&M is one of the other games because they hate Texas. That game's always hard. It's always going to be tough, and they're always going to play Texas very, very tough, and it's a rivalry game. It is what it is. At the end of the day, college football is still college football, whether you got NIL or BCS. Still college football. The kids are still gonna show up and play. The kids are still gonna go for their schools, and that's a large reason why most kids choose the schools they choose. So Texas versus Texas A&M, very rough game. Um, like I said, Texas will see a large majority of their schedule at home. This is a year to get home tickets, to get season passes. Uh, like I told you, I think defense will improve tremendously next year. Mostly because I think that they're gonna have an edge presence this year to complement their interior presence. I really think that they're gonna be really good on the edge this year. They're gonna have people that can set the edge. You have Colin Simmons coming in, and you have Trey Moore, which is a 4-star transfer player from UTSA. I think that they're gonna be very, very good. Now, I'm hoping that they're going to be very good there. Because you still got Ethan Burke and you got Colin Vasquez. I'm hoping Ethan Burke comes out and plays out of his mind. Because I have him pegged for a breakout season. But he's going to have to go through Trey Moore to do that. Another reason why I think that the defense is going to be better, linebackers. They have 3 this year. They don't just have 1 or 2. They have 3. Ty Anthony Smith, freshman. Anthony Hill, returning for a sophomore campaign. And Anthony Hill. Oh, sorry. Messed it up. Kendrick Blackshire, coming over from Alabama. He is listed at 6'2", 265, guys. 262. Reporting to spring practice. That is a big dude, and he was the number 1 linebacker in his class. If you think that he's not nowhere near as good as he was, then obviously you haven't been paying close attention to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama always has really good linebacking. He's been a backup for several linebackers that have gone in the first 3 rounds in the draft. It figured that it was going to be either this year or next year that he started for Alabama. He's been basically on special teams, but he's been really, really developed. When you get a kid that comes from Alabama under Nick Saban, they had to have been developed because Nick Saban preaches and predicates defense even to this day. Before he quit, let's stop right there and let's talk about it real quick. Let's talk about the reason why Nick Saban retired. It's sad. It's so sad. Nick Saban did an interview, can't remember where, but he did an interview with somebody, and he said the reason why he retired is because college football just changed too much. He's looking at, we're going to be a really good team. Jalen Milroe just got stopped at the 1 or 2 yard line on a quarterback power play by the eventual national champions. They went to overtime with them. And instead of kids asking, hey, how are we going to get better? What are we going to do this summer, this spring? What are we going to do this winter workouts? How are we what are we gonna do to get better? How are we gonna be able to beat the Michigan, the Ohio State, the Oregon, the Washington, the Texas, the Georgia? How are we gonna do this next year? Instead, they're asking about insurance money. Will you play me next year? Are you sure I'm gonna play next year? What can you tell me? What can you give me? Give me money. When you're here to play a sport and get a degree, You have the opportunity of your lifetime to get out of college debt free and get paid while doing it. That you're not even looking at it as, hey, let's let's make sure that we're giving it our all. You're looking too far to the NFL. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't like Nick Saban like that. I do, but I don't. He coached at LSU, which is one of my four favorite teams. But he coached at LSU, then went to Miami, came back, went to Alabama, and has been wrecking LSU almost every year since. I don't like that. But I do respect him and love him as a coach. He has done so many wonderful things for this program. I mentioned that he's a mentor for Steve Sarkisian. Him and Pete Carroll both revolutionized the game whenever they came in. You had to play good defense. Pete Carroll changed the name of the game whenever he had Reggie Bush back there running back. Reggie Bush, Lendale White, Matt Leinart. Like, he had guys over there. In Alabama, whenever Nick Saban won his first national championship at Alabama, he did that off of a skeleton crew. Guys like Mark Ingram that came in, Amari Cooper, and it was just do your job. Gritty, hard, tough football, just like USC kind of was. Now, USC lost their way a little bit because they California. We're the Trojans. We party all night, you know. Out there in Tuscaloosa, it wasn't partying. It was, we came here for football. We're gonna go get football and go to the NFL. Anyway, I just wonder. I wonder because Texas lost to Alabama in that 2009 whenever Nick Saban won it first. Ending of the Mac Brown era. I've been there since, to be honest with you. I saw Vince Young win the national championship for us in 2005 over USC. And then 2009, we lose to Alabama. And you just see a trajectory of upward and downward. Alabama just took off. Texas went down. A couple years later, you have the hiring of Charlie Strong. And he didn't do that much. He didn't do anything, to be honest with you. He did get a good quarterback. He didn't use the quarterback. And that quarterback's name was Gerard Hurd. He had a good quarterback. He could have made something shake. We might have been in the national conversation. Then we had Tom Herman. And he started off good, but we just knew for a fact he was not what was supposed to be done with Texas. Came from Houston, had great records, but it's just a different ball game when he got to Texas. Different ball game. He allowed the boosters to eat him up and just spit him out. Steve Sarkisian is not having that because he was actually groomed by the right people to run the Texas Longhorns. Anyway, linebacking, I think is going to be great this year. In the edge, I'm hoping we have edge pressure. I'm hoping we do, because if we have edge pressure, what would it be like for us to have edge pressure, an interior defensive line coupled with linebacking? Oh, I hear the odds of Texas playing. I hear it. I hear the odds of Texas playing as we win a national championship at the end of the year. We have the team to do it. We have the team to do it. We had the team to do it last year, but we didn't have edge pressure. You cannot run the ball on Texas last year, but you can get outside. Where'd they do that at? We have edge to where we can set the edge, and we still have that interior, vaunted interior defensive line that I know we have with Alfred Collins, Broughton, the Arizona transfer, Savea, redshirt freshman, Sadir Michigan, who Mitchell, who weighed in at 372, and he's like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". I think that we have the team, especially up front, that can do it. And we just got a new defensive line coach. I think that Texas is gonna be good this year. I hope that the front four, the front three, whatever we do this year, plays its part. I hope that they have a breakout season. Hope Colin Simmons comes in and shows everybody why he was the number one defense, the edge, and why everybody wanted him. I'm hoping that Ethan Burke comes out and actually plays the way he's supposed to be playing, so we can have a good team. On the back end, we have safety. We have a transferred safety from Clemson, Andrew Abuka, who, for all intents and purposes, was a 3-year starter at Clemson. 3-year starter. He's going to provide a lot of leadership. He's going to provide a lot of insight. And we have a 5-star safety coming in from McKinney, Xavier Phillips-Wade, which I really like Godspeed on his team. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He was really, really good. Look at what he did to Longview. Look what he did to other teams in the district. Really, really good. He was really instrumental into why McKinney was really, really good last year. Also, that running back, I don't remember the running back, but he was really good too. Really good back. Really strong, big, run you over, run through you. Anyway, I digress. I'm going to digress again back to the ends, because if we can have a strong rotation up front with the ends in the interior, we're going to be so good. We control the offensive line like we did last year. I mean, the line scrimmage like we did last year, we are so good. Like I was saying, safety, Andrew Abuka, a lot of leadership, a lot of experience. He figures take 1 to 2 spots back there with Samaje Burrow returning. He wasn't bad, but I feel like there's gonna be a little bit of competition back there in the safety spot. You still got Terrence Brooks and Malik Muhammad turning for corners. You got Jadae Barron, who I think was an All-American snub, returning at nickel. I think that that's going to be a really good defense if we can get our ends figured out and then everybody comes and shows up to play. I think we're going to be really good. I think we'll be fine. Now, my question for the defense goes to the ends, the edges. Are we gonna show up this year? When are we gonna stop playing games and come bust people off the mouth? I mean, in front of their mouth. When are we gonna start saying this is the year for us? When are we gonna start saying, all right, yeah, Texas is firmly back, and you're gonna feel Texas every time they step on the field, like the 2005, 2009 teams. When are we gonna see that team again? When are we gonna see the team that is no nonsense and they just come and they play up to their potential? When are we gonna see the defense from the Longhorns to actually play and stop people on 3rd down instead of giving it up and playing bend but don't break? When are we gonna just not even bend? When are we don't bend, we don't break. You get off the field. We're the Longhorns. We get the best talent from the state of Texas. We get the best talent all throughout the nation. Let's show them this year. Now, a couple guys I'm looking at defensively. Kobe Black. I wonder where he's gonna play at. He played a little bit of receiver for Conley, but he's gonna be obviously defense. He's a DB. Um, but will he be in the rotation for one of the two cornerback spots? What are we gonna do with him? I think he's really good. He was a 5-star at one point from some perspectives, but I think he's really good. He's one of the best to come out of that area. Another guy that I think we should look at as far as tight end, Brock Cool from Lorena. Out of the same area, they play in the same classification. Really good, big, strong, inline, blocking tight end, but can catch the ball and he's very nimble. Let's see. With that being said, offensively, Coach Art might have the fastest wide receiver room in the nation. 4 out of the 5 offensive lineman starters are coming back. Like I said, Christian Williams gone to the NFL. Texas really reloaded at pass catching positions, tight end and receiver. They got tight end Amari Kneeblack. They got the the 3 pass catching wide receivers: Isaiah Bond, Marcus Golden, and Salias Bolden. Really good. So now, Salias from Oregon State, he's 5'8", really speedster. Isaiah Bond, he's a speedster too. Jonte Cook will be your number 1 receiver this year, and he's looked to be having a big breakout season with the more production that's going to be coming his way. Because now it is his show. He doesn't have to compete for balls with Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell and Jordan Whittington, which those 2 guys had a really good NFL combine. Really good. Xavier Worthy is the fastest man to run a 40, and he's a Longhorn. That should make us proud, and we should be beating our chest about that. And we should be supporting him. All the Longhorns had really good tests. They're all gonna play really well, and in the NFL, I think their game translates really well. Gone is our starting running back, Jonathan Brooks, who split time with C.J. Baxter, who, like I said, had 659 yards last year. Yeah, Jonathan Brooks is gone. Hempstead, Texas, had a great career. He got cut short this year, but hey, we wish you the best. I think I think he's gonna make a team really happy. Jaden Blue will step in and spell C.J. Baxter. I hope that he has some glue on his hands, because I'm telling you, if he does and he gets out of space, he is electric. He just had some ball carrying concerns. But watch him against Texas Tech. Kid was good. Kid was phenomenal. Talk about touch the ball, touchdown. Both of those 2 running backs, by the way, 1,000 yards combined. And they were behind other people. They were splitting time. I really look for them to have 1,000 yard from C.J. Baxter and probably like an 800 to 600 yard season for Jaden Blue. Trey Wison is still there, so you'll see him more. Young man went to Waco Conley, transferred to Soto. Young man he's pretty good too. So Kobe Black is very close with him. Jonte Cook is very close with him. He's probably recruiting a lot of kids too. Anyway, you could see a lot of a mix up at the slot this year with Jonte Cook, Sanae Bolden, Isaiah Bond. You could see it because they're all extremely fast, nimble guys that can make you miss out in space, and that's Texas' whole thing. Get their best guys out in space, make them miss, and go 88 yards for a touchdown. That's their whole thing. It doesn't have to be long balls. It doesn't have to be intermediate. Short is what they do. Quinn Ewers excels best at it. You also see that with Arch Manning. Now, Trey Owens, young man out of Cypher High School in Houston, big arm, cannon of an arm. Reminds me of DJ Uiagalelei, which is actually transferring to Florida State. Florida State looks like they're going to have a really good team this year, but the team is just going. We're just going to see it. We got to see it. They're losing some of their best, but I think that they still can go undefeated in the ACC slate. I think Bolden's going to be the return specialist. I think Sanae Bolden's going to be the return specialist for the Horns this year. You're losing Keelan Robinson, who was, how do I put this? Electric. It's the only way. You're also losing Worthy, electric. And guess what? This guy has the same speed as these guys, and he can replace them and hopefully do the same thing. Another big name that's gone is Jatavion Sanders. Watched him at Denton Ryan. Man, a man amongst boys when he was in high school. But Gunnar Helm and Amari Neblack will complement each other to make up that difference. I'm so sure of it. Amari Neblack is more of a pass catching, and Gunnar Helm, from what I understand, from what I've seen last year, he's more of an inline blocker like Brock Cool. But they're going to complement each other just like the running back room will. I think that they're going to be great. Christian Williams is going to the NFL, like I mentioned, and true freshman Brandon Baker will challenge for the defense for the right tackle spot. Expect nothing but big things from the kid out of Mater Dei. I expect nothing but big things. Big man. Think he's gonna be great. I really do. I have a good feeling about him. Notice I didn't mention anything about the quarterback really. That's because it's Quinn Ewers' team. Everybody knows that. Don't start this. Oh, is it Arch's team? Is he gonna challenge? No. Arch is gonna sit as a backup. Maybe have a couple packages where he comes in so he can get some game time. But he's gonna sit and really be the QB2 and learn the playbook for another year. So when he starts next year, we're running without a hitch. Cameron Williams looks to be the front runner for the right tackle position. Connor will likely stay in left guard. He's also in the mix for it, but he could move over to the right tackle, just so you know. But look for Chapman and Gooseby to challenge for some spots. But I really think that they're going to be great backups this year and start next year. I really do. I think that they're great players. They're very physical, big men. Kyle Flood loves those. So yeah, Coach Flood's going to make sure the offensive line has it right. Like I said, we'll know what this team is capable of on 9/7. Day before my birthday, when they go to Michigan. When they play in Arbor, we'll know. High school news. Uh, I think that Tyler State Texas is going to be really more worried about Texas versus Georgia in the high school ranks, because you got DeSoto versus Creekside, which is a team out in Georgia. They were runner up last year for the state championship. But I think you got DeSoto over Georgia, and most Texas, if you truly love sports, truly love football, you're probably focusing on that more if you're in the DFW Metroplex. Um, I appreciate y'all staying on and watching with me. Uh, Listening. If you like the video, please like, subscribe. Uh, leave me a comment. I'll definitely interact. Tell me if there's anything I can fix, or if you want me to hit on something else. If there's a segment, um, I will also drop my socials at some point in time on my channel, so you can follow me on X, Facebook, Instagram. Uh, I'm and Snapchat. I'm all over everything. So y'all have a wonderful day, and hook 'em horns.